connected with EVOS Esports Managing Director Hartman Haris. Good morning, Hartman.
Morning, Hartman.
All right.
Hi.
So let's dive straight into it. Is it true that the esports ecosystem has just only been recently built 3 or 4 years ago, and until we see what it is now?
Actually, the whole esports thing, I think it started way back when, during the arc, with Atari, with Street Fighter and stuff like that, and then with the internet, then the PC started to boom. I think in Indonesia itself, because we are such a mobile-first country, then it started to boom 4 years ago when mobile games really started to take off, right? Because the game started being much better, being more accessible, and then a lot of our people actually started being able to afford data and better phones.
Right.
So that's how it boomed.
So how much has it grown over the years, the esport industry, compared to other Southeast Asian countries or other countries globally?
I mean, when we first started 5 years ago, we started off with a Dota 2 team. So EVOS is like Manchester United, but for esports, right?
Nice.
For gaming. And we compete in 5 countries. We are in 5 countries in Southeast Asia. So when we first started 5 years ago, we were in the Dota 2 team, and it was a PC game.
Right.
And at that time, if we had 100 people offline watching our game in the finals, we were super happy, because that was the biggest event ever. So fast forward, before COVID, we had a booked out arena in Senayan Tennis Indoor.
Wow.
It was about there were about like 20,000 people coming to support us.
That's a lot.
And then online, there were about like 1 million people watching live, right?
Wow.
So in the past 5 years, definitely because of the mobile esports boom, then esports as a whole in Indonesia took off.
Right. So just to elaborate on that, it took off 5 years back because of the mobile gaming. So right now, the dominant esports, is it the mobile or is it still PC, or maybe there's still some on console as well?
I'd say globally in the world, PC definitely is a more a higher tier
Right.
sort of esports, but then mobile gaming definitely is catching up, along with console gaming as well. But in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, definitely mobile is the front runner.
Yes.
Yes. So what kind of contribution does EVOS Esports make to develop the esports industry in Indonesia?
Over the past 5 years, we've been really investing a lot in the community, in our fans, in our players, athletes, mainly in infrastructure, meaning, just like any other sports teams, we develop a good ecosystem whereby brands can tap onto us, and we'll be able to act like a translator for the fans, right?
Right.
So it's not, so we are able to market certain products by the partner brands that we bring on, and we wrap it in a more gaming-friendly, gaming language sort of thing.
Right.
And other infrastructures include the coaching staff, the analysis staff, and also even a psychologist on board as well for our athletes.
Really?
Wow,
That's
wow.
interesting. Can you elaborate a little
Yes.
bit on the psychologist part?
We have a lot of really young talents, really young athletes, mainly from 18, some of them 16, 13, and then all the way up to 25, right? So they're still pretty young, and they're really affected by social media, the performance, right? Mentality, how they go about their lives, how they think of their performance, their games and stuff like that. So it's really important for us to have someone on board to help that. It's just like any other sports team as well.
Right.
And
That's
I
great.
think recently, last year in October, we just launched our ITF, which is our EVOS integrated training facility. So that's another commitment, I would say, another investment in infrastructure. So it's a top of the line, world class facility that we invest so
Nice.
that players and athletes can just train there.
Wow,
Right,
that's
sounds
cool.
great.
Yeah.
So, from what I understand, the esports has been developing as a community by its own, and they've been producing athletes on its own. It's only nowadays that the government is actually paying attention to the esports as an industry. From your opinion, what sorts of thing can the government do to help build this ecosystem?
Um, I think one of the biggest things definitely would be infrastructure, right?
Right.
Again, infrastructure meaning the internet. I think we are, us being in Java and mainly in Jakarta, we are very, very blessed. I think a lot of
Yes.
people take that for granted. Um, a lot of our fans that are outside of the Java island, a lot of in other islands that are a little bit um, have less access to fast internet and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
We always take it for granted, right? A lot of them are actually streaming YouTube on 240p, on
Wow.
360p, and they're basically, it's like listening to the radio. So it will help a lot if access is more ubiquitous. I think with the advent of 4G and more 3G widespread, it will really help. And of course, like bringing esports more mainstream. I think
Right.
the government has already been doing a good job doing that. Even the president
Right.
and a lot of members of parliament and other stuff are very supportive
Wow.
of this. Yeah.
That sounds great. It's interesting what you said about talents outside Java and Bali who is blessed with good internet, because that's the soul of
Yeah.
the esports. So can you elaborate more on the talents that you've seen outside Java and Bali, who are really potential to bring up in the esports?
So I think we have about like 50% of our players, athletes, actually coming from. Surprisingly, the other 50% are spread out all across, right? We have
Wow.
some from
That's great.
definitely like Lampung. We have some from Pontianak, some from Makassar, and even as far as like Papua, and we have Manado. It's really everywhere, and they are fortunate enough. And we are fortunate enough to have them on board as one of our athletes. So talent is everywhere. It's just grooming that and making it even more widespread.
So, speaking of talents, how do you usually find your talents? Do you scout? Because I imagine that with esports, you can actually see the player's data, right?
That's
Or
right.
the talent's data. Oh, he's performing, she's performing very well. So, how do you find them? Do you scout them, or do they apply to be part of this community?
All of the above. So thankfully with esports, like you said, Marissa, everything is online, everything is digital. But the problem with that is that it highlights the quote unquote top scorers, right? So as with basketball and with say football or soccer,
Yeah.
a lot of the key crucial roles are the goalkeepers or the and stuff like the support roles, right? So that is very difficult to find if you are just looking online or digitally on the leaderboard.
Right.
So we have like open casting sort of speak,
Yeah.
and we also have our own community tournament that we've been running for the past almost 2 years. We even won a Muri Award for that.
Wow.
So it's been amazing, and people are applying from everywhere. We have about 20 to 30,000 people joining in the competition
Wow.
and fighting it out, and yeah. So we scout from there as well.
Yeah, so this
That's
is this is
cool.
really a track to something really big, isn't it? Now, even schools now have seen this as a potential because some schools have actually implemented extracurricular activities in esports. So, what do you think about these extracurricular activities? Do they need a curriculum to stick to, or maybe a coach that they need, a certified one that needs to teach this to make it a good outcome for the guys who join this?
And girls.
Yeah, I mean, as with
Guys and
with
girls.
other, of course, we have a great girls team as well.
Yeah.
You know, they've been performing well. They've been winning championships and stuff. As with regards to the extracurricular activities, definitely we need a coach, a certified coach. I think that's very important. I think unfortunately, we have a lack of such people
Right.
because I think the industry is just so new in Indonesia. So we are still working towards that. So hopefully in the next couple years, we'll be able to fulfill that aspect of the coaching and the mentoring, right?
Right.
I think overall with the extracurricular, it's very helpful because it pushes esports to become more mainstream,
Okay.
and it gets rid of the negative stigma of like, you know, gaming is bad, you have no future if you're a
Right.
gamer and stuff
Right.
like that. You know, I think with EVOS and with we just recently launched our basketball team, you know, like actual basketball team in the IBL as well.
Nice.
What we want to promote is having that of gaming and active lifestyle and sports and basketball and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's very important for parents and for kids
Right.
to have a balanced and well-educated mindset of esports.
All right. Can you explain more about the lack of coaches in the esports that you were talking about? Is it maybe because the people that make it in the esports tend to just continue becoming a player instead of being a coach? Why is there a shortage?
I think there's a shortage because, you know, comparing ourselves to say basketball or soccer that has been around for more than 50 years, 70 years, soccer 100 years in Indonesia.
Right.
There are a lot of people who have been athletes, who have been top stars and have grown a little bit older and have passion. Have passion to coach and mentor.
Right.
So, because esports is such a young industry, a lot of them are still really young. So even the people who are retired, quote unquote, are still not even 30 years old. So they're still in the mid 20s.
Wow.
And they have moved on since to become part of the management or part to becoming a gaming influencer or a game streamer and stuff like that. So I think it will happen in the next 4 to 5 years when they become more mature and really want to impart their knowledge onto younger kids.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's
the
true.
answer.
So there's going to be a regeneration. That makes sense, though, in the next 5 years.
Regeneration, yeah.
Speaking of the next 5 years, so what can we expect in the esports industry in 2022? Let's not talk 5 years. Let's talk about 2022.
For 2022, I think we're super excited. Hopefully, you know, the whole coalition gets better. It is getting better. And, you know, we are excited. Hopefully, we will see more offline events. They'll be amazing. I think we're starting to see semi-offline and online event where some spectators, I think, you know, with any sport, having an offline spectator affects a lot, you know. The athletes draw a lot of energy from the crowd as well.
Absolutely.
So it makes a huge difference. I think for the next 5 years, what we will see is, especially with 4G and then 5G and then maybe 6G, well, we'll be seeing a new different beast, a different kind of esports, a different genre of esports. So I don't know what that is, but, you know, we'll be excited to see that.
Wow, that's cool.
That's
Well, thank you
coming
so much, Hartman Harris, the Managing Director of EVOS Esports. Success to you and your community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Marissa. Thanks, Wibi.
Wow.